GamingBolt presents 14 instances where you played a game within a game. Who doesn't like getting an awesome free game or just a neat little self-contained gameplay experience within a game they already own? So we thought it'd be great to look at some of the better examples of this phenomenon throughout the history of gaming. Before you ask, there's a reason WarioWare hasn't been included. The objective of this feature is to look at games that are either completely separate from the main game but still accessible from within, and which aren't necessarily for your progress. Given the whole point of WarioWare is to play through bite-sized collections of games, i.e. it's not optional, some inspired by classic Nintendo titles, it felt a little too easy to include it here. Regardless, it's still recommended if you're into zany Nintendo humor and various microgames. Jazz Punk, Pizza Survival Horror. Okay, so this is probably the weakest example of a game within a game. That being said, Pizza Survival Horror is still very much a game in Jazz Punk. Where else will you stumble upon a decrepit-looking Pizza Hut-esque restaurant that pays tribute to The Shining with its ramblings? Short but sweet, this little game is hard to forget, and that's saying something when you consider the sea of trippiness that is Jazz Punk. Uncharted 4, Crash Bandicoot. Perhaps one of the more famous examples of a game within a game in recent memory, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End features a playable section of Crash Bandicoot, Naughty Dog's breakout PS1 platformer, at 2 different times. You essentially have a chance to beat Elena's high score, and while it's somewhat short, Crash Bandicoot did provide a nice little remind of how far Naughty Dog has come. Shenmue 1 and 2, Space Harrier. Your father has been killed and you must seek vengeance, but anything and everything in the world of Shenmue seems to be stopping you. For example, if you're not particularly keen on vengeance during the weekends, or any day of the week really, you can play Space Harrier at your local arcade. This on-rails shooter was critically acclaimed on the Genesis back in the day. It was also designed by Yu Suzuki, so its inclusion in Shenmue 1 and 2 isn't entirely an accident. Fallout 4, Retro Games, Vault Boy Themes. From its E3 2015 reveal, Bethesda Softworks indicated that classic retro titles would be making an appearance in Fallout 4 via holotapes for your Pip-Boy. Of course, these aren't direct copies of retro titles like Donkey Kong and Missile Defense. They feature Fallout 4 themes like Vault Boy playing the role of Mario. They're a pretty good distraction when everything else in the Commonwealth isn't enough. Animal Crossing, classic NES games. Animal Crossing allows you to build a house, get a couple of odd jobs, capture insects, fish, and pretty much live out life in your virtual town. It also featured a couple of classic Nintendo cartridges in the form of Excitebike and Donkey Kong that could be played on an NES console. If you're going to include classics within a whole new game, it certainly pays to be Nintendo. Final Fantasy VIII, Triple Triad. We've seen our fair share of minigames in Final Fantasy titles, but Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII took it to a whole new level. It's essentially a card game played on a 3x3 grid where one player must convert his opponent's card to his color. Along with different card levels, rarities, rule variations, and the ability to collect cards during your quest, Triple Triad served as more than just a distraction. Call of Duty Black Ops, Dead Ops Arcade. Smash TV meets Call of Duty Zombies in Dead Ops Arcade. This optional top-down shooter is actually a secret, accessible through a clever set of mechanics from the main menu, and features power-ups, hordes of zombies, and your average arcade setup. Dead Ops Arcade 2 and Black Ops 3 improved on this by actually having its own minigames and sections that could be played in first person. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Gwent. The card battling game so beloved that it actually spawned its own standalone game, Gwent was a surprise for many hardcore Witcher fans who found themselves engaging in tournaments and collecting rarer cards. The devotion to Gwent grew at such a fast rate that players actually printed out their own decks and even created an online Gwent title, which was quickly shut down. Project Gotham Racing 2, Geometry Wars. Geometry Wars started as a means for Stephen Cakebread and Bizarre Creations to test the Xbox controller settings in Project Gotham Racing 2. It was left in the racing game and quickly exploded in terms of popularity to become retro-evolved and eventually spawn its own franchise that lives on to this day. Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, Manderville Gold Saucer. Final Fantasy VII featured a range of different minigames in the Gold Saucer. Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn ups that significantly with the Manderville Gold Saucer, that features Chocobo Racing, Triple Triad, Lord of Verminion, Monster Toss, and different gates taking place every 15 to 45 minutes. The World Ends With You, Tin Pin Slammer. Another deceptively complex minigame that actually served as a strong distraction in The World Ends With You, Tin Pin Slammer is actually its own separate game in the epilogue Another Day. It's pretty crazy, like Beyblade except somehow less lame with different spin, weight, classes, and different special moves. Sonic Generations, Original Sonic the Hedgehog. If you're not satisfied with all the homages to previous Sonic games and Sonic Generations, not to mention the differing mechanics between old and new school Sonic, you can actually play the original game in full by purchasing a Sega Genesis controller from the skill shop. And you're in luck, Infinite Lives is an option. Ninja Gaiden, Original Ninja Gaiden Trilogy. You think Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox is difficult? You're in luck because the original 2D side-scrolling platformer trilogy from Team Ninja is included within the game for your masochistic pleasure. On the one hand, it's a great deal since you're getting 3 classics for free. On the other hand, the pain. Oh, the pain. Day of the Tentacle, Maniac Mansion. Want to discover what led to the events of Day of the Tentacle? Maybe you're just curious to play another awesome adventure game from the mind of Tim Schafer? Back in the day, Day of the Tentacle included Maniac Mansion, totally playable and completely free. It may seem like something small today, but back in 1993, it was simply unheard of. LEGO Dimensions, Midway Arcade. On top of providing a satisfying experience on its own, LEGO Dimensions features arcade docks in various levels with the Midway Arcade expansion. Utilize the Gamer Kid's arcade machine and you'll be able to access a variety of different Midway Arcade titles, some crazy retro adventures skinned in awesome new ways. Like this video? Why not give us a like and subscribe? We try and upload amazing videos almost every single day. Thank you for watching this video and we'll see you on the next one.